It's the Rhonda Shear interview with this week's guest, Jayne County. And now, Rhonda Shear.
Hi, Rhonda Shear here. Welcome to USA Up All Night. We have quite a show planned for you. Let me introduce you to the one and only Jayne County. Jayne's going to be with us all night long, telling us about her music, her life, the concerts, the clubs, and her book, Man Enough to Be a Woman. Are you man enough to be a woman?
Only on Sundays.
But you have to stay tuned. We're going to be showing you two great films, but let's get started with the first one right now on USA Up All Night. And the pictures, oh my.
He's got no clothes on.
We'll be back with more of Rhonda and Jayne right after this on the Rhonda Shear interview. And now, with limited interruption, the Rhonda Shear interview with this week's guest, Jayne County.
Transgender rock and roll. It's about New York City.
What excites you? Are you jaded to everything, or getting on the stage, does that still do it for you?
Being on stage is probably the most exciting thing for me. Sometimes I feel like, oh God, I can't sing this song one more time. I just can't. But then when I get on stage and I do it, it's like the first time I ever did it. And the look on people's faces, the smiles and the looks of like, you know, it just, it makes it, you know, it really makes it, yeah.
No, I've heard amazing things.
Well, you know, preparing to get on stage is a nightmare. It's horrible.
Well, how long does that take?
Sometimes I've been known to take 4.5 hours just to do my makeup.
Now, is that just because you're dawdling and thinking about the show? Because I know.
Yes, and I do the eyes, and I think, well, maybe I should do them different. I say, well, I feel Egyptian, and I'll do like Cleopatra, Liz Taylor Egyptian makeup. And I don't like that. Let's do a 60s look. And then I'll pick, and I say, well, that 60s look don't go with that lipstick. I'll take that lipstick off, put on another color. I say, well, that color doesn't go with the cheeks. I'll change. 4.5 hours later, I'm like this, and I'm not doing makeup like that.
That's fine. You think it's a little stage fright still?
It's very much stage fright. Yeah, I get butterflies before I go on. But the minute I hit the stage, it's like this burst of energy comes from nowhere. It's like this, I'm possessed.
Do you start thinking back to your childhood days when you were standing in the street thinking, nah, 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 nah?
Yeah, yeah. I got to scream at people in that little town, but now I'm on stage with lights on me and makeup and a band, and now I can scream at people like that through my music.
Isn't it the best?
Stay where you are. There's more Girl Talk with Jayne County coming your way on the Rhonda Shear interview.
We now return to Tropical Teas on USA Up All Night.
And now back to the Jayne County interview.
Hi, Rhonda Shear here, USA Up All Night with Jayne County. Now, Jayne, you were once a Wayne County.
Yes, I was.
Tell us, please, how your career began and where it all started.
My career began in a small town in Georgia. And I got my start on the stage by using the street, more or less, as my stage. I get dressed up in makeup when I was just a little little boy named Wayne, and I'd wear makeup and women's high heel shoes, and I'd walk down the middle of the street in town just to shock everyone.
What did your family think of this?
They thought I was a little bit crazy, actually. If I had been a child now, they would have basically put me on medication very quickly. But you didn't do that back then. I was the town freak.
But did you have any friends?
Yes, I did, but a lot of them didn't let other people know that they were friends with me. They were sort of my secret friends.
I'm sure all the girls wanted to be girlfriends with you, so that they...
No, I had great girlfriends at school, and I played, when I was a little kid, I played hopscotch and jump rope and all the girls' games. And if any of the little boys wanted to give me trouble, the little girls would beat them up and say, "You leave Wayne alone."
Stay where you are. There's more Girl Talk with Jayne County coming your way on the Rhonda Shear interview. And now back to that sheer test of will, called the Rhonda Shear interview.
Hi, Rhonda Shear here, USA Up All Night. You know, when a couple of Southern belles get together, you know, Jayne and I, there's just so much to talk about. We just couldn't stop talking. When did you become Jayne?
I used Wayne quite late,
Really?
actually, which was very strange for a lot of people. I was standing in a bar one night, and this gorgeous blonde drag queen walked over to me and said, "What's your name?" I looked quite particularly good that night. She said, "I just had to come over and speak to you." Oh, I know, I had a sailor outfit on, a sailor suit with a hat and everything. I looked really cute, and beads. And she said, "What's your name, girl?" I said, "Wayne." She went, "Girl, you can't call yourself Wayne." She said, "Why not Jayne? Just change the W to J. It's easy." I said, "Well, Wayne, W-A-Y-N-E, X the W, put a J, it's J-A-Y-N-E, you know, like Jayne Mansfield. Jayne with a Y, not Liza with a B or F or a Z, Jayne with a Y."
Seems like you like Jayne too. Jayne.
Jayne. Like Tarzan and Jayne. Jayne.
Woo! There's a lot of talking going on. Even more than I can talk. Impossible. We now return to USA Up All Night.
There's still more of Jayne County right after this. It's the Rhonda Shear interview with this week's guest, Jayne County.
Hi, Rhonda Shear here, USA Up All Night with Jayne County. Jayne, Andy Warhol, what was that? Did you know him?
Well, yes, I did a play for him, and he was such a troublemaker. I mean, the play consisted of all these tapes, private conversations that he made with all his superstars, and he got them to say horrible things over the telephone about people. Then he gave them to this director, and we put on a play, and we were reciting all these lines, and everyone got really upset about it. But he stood back and laughed his head off because he was the happiest when he was causing trouble. He'd call up people on the phone and ask them questions like, "Oh, Viva, I wonder what pigeons smells like. Do you know? I mean, and cow dung. I don't know. And people go, but I don't know. You know, I don't like. You know, I have a cat. I have to change the box all the time. It smells really bad. You know, and dogs. And he'd get them talking about dog and cat and animal poop. And he's taping their conversation. So her conversation with him about animal poop ended up as being my dialogue on stage in a play.
Can you imagine
for the whole world to see?
Winning a Tony for that?
It would be an improvement.
We'll be back with more of USA all night after this.
The continuing interview with a legendary rocker now continues.
Now, Jayne, you're a little wild on stage. Look at these pictures. You do a lot of things with mics and other objects. How far?
Not really.
That's a pitchfork, and it's near the crotch area.
I'd just been to see The Exorcist, and I'd written a song about someone being possessed by the devil. And so at the end of it, I stabbed myself with a pitchfork at the end after ripping my wig off.
Wow.
Yeah. But I don't use props anymore like I used to. Mostly now I let the music, and myself is a prop. I get very energetic. I've been known to roll around on the stage and speak in tongues and even occasionally heal the sick.
Now, are this the real nipples hanging out here? I mean, the back of this book is fabulous, but there's like nudity here.
Are we rolling?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought we were off of it.
No, that's the best stuff.
Now those were rubber. That's before.
Weren't they all?
Yeah. These are real now. I wore the same outfit the night of the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band stage production party in 1976. Warhol was there, and he loved me. So he wanted to introduce me to Bianca Jagger. And I thought, I'm really up there. This is really it for me. Here I am being introduced by Andy Warhol to Bianca Jagger. So he said, Bianca, this is Wayne County. She looked at me, she stood up, and she walked away. She didn't know how to react. I guess it scared her to death. And I think that Andy did that on purpose just to freak her out.
The Rhonda Shear interview returns in a moment. And now back to the Jayne County interview.
And so how many years did you spend in Berlin?
2.5 years in Berlin.
You learned a lot.
I learned a lot. I fell in love with a Russian soldier while I was there, and I had to keep sneaking back over to the east. I have to go through Checkpoint Charlie, and I had some very interesting times because I was in between, and once they strip searched me, and boy, I embarrassed.
Really?
But those soldiers, they called all their friends in, and everyone came in and looked like. I had to stop going because I think they had probably built up a dossier on me, pretty big one.
Okay, now what was happening to your career singing-wise in Berlin? Were you still working, or were you just in love?
No, I was performing in Berlin. I played the Metropole, which was where Dietrich played in the 30s and 40s.
That must have been
exciting.
And
when they bombed Berlin, strangely, the Metropole did not get bombed. They bombed the church across the street, but they left the Metropole.
Do you speak German?
Very little German, very little German.
Just the sexy
I didn't
part.
want to bother with German, you know, but I just spoke enough German to get by, enough to ask someone, what's your name, Do you have a car? Will you buy me a drink? And how much money do you have?
Let's get back to more of USA Up All Night, if you can handle it.
The Rhonda Shear interview returns in a moment.
Hi, it's Rhonda Shear. We now get back to Tropical Teas on USA Up All Night.
Living on free food tickets, water in the milk from a hole in the roof where the rain came through. What can we do? Ooh. Tears from little sister, crying 'cause she doesn't have a dress without a patch for the party to go. Oh, but you know she'll get by because she's living in the love of the common people. Smile from the heart of the family man. Daddy's gonna buy her a dream to cling to. Mama's gonna love her just as much as she can. She can. It's a good.
Hi, I'm Jayne County. Let's get back to USA Up All Night.
Yeah. Hi, Rhonda Shear here, USA Up All Night, and I'm just hanging with Jayne County, who's just teaching me things that I just know nothing about.
You're pushing too hard. You're pushing on me.
Is the coolest place to perform still New York City?
I think so.
When you're in a town like New York or LA, then you're more accepted, or...
Oh, yeah.
Now, your audience, do they dress up to come see you? Do they dress like you?
It makes me feel so good to know that I'm not the only one there. I mean, years ago, I was the only, transsexual. First of all, I'd like to tell you, I'm a transsexual with drag queen tendencies. I'm a drag queen at heart, but in my personal life, I'm a TS, transsexual.
But I'm a drag queen.
You are an honorary drag queen.
I am.
I love you. You're fabulous.
I have to.
You have that glow. You have that fabulous drag queen glow that makes you a woman and then something else.
So you still love the nightlife. The nightclub scene is great.
I never dance anymore though, because when you dance, you sweat and it ruins your makeup.
That's true. I agree with that.
You can't do things like
no one realizes.
kiss people.
You do. That's why you develop the air
it messes
kiss.
your lipstick. I don't kiss people. I go.
Yeah, it's the air kiss.
New York kiss.
See, I thought that was an LA kiss.
LA kiss.
Yeah.
I thought LA kiss was like down there.
We'll be back with more of Rhonda and Jayne right after this on the Rhonda Shear Interview.
Hey, Rhonda Shear here, USA Up All Night. Yes, we're watching movies, but we're having more fun with Jayne County. Now, tell me about the club scene, like Max's.
Max's. Well, Max's Kansas City. I mean, it's become a legendary club that existed in the 70s. It's where bands got their start, like bands like Blondie, Debbie Harry, and we had people like Patti Smith.
You were just sort of hanging out then and being there and watching.
Hanging out there, playing there with my band. It was such a different mishmash of different types of people. You got everything from filthy rich people hanging out with low life, hanging out with drag queens, hanging out with artists, and you had downstairs a back room where everyone hung out, and it was very vicious. Well, everyone in the back room talked about everyone else. Like you would see people at the round table, like they would be maybe like Mark Bolan or Janis Joplin or Jimi Hendrix sitting at the round table, and everybody, it would be like very vicious. Everybody would talk about everybody else. Who do you think? Are they doing it?
Oh, wow.
Or is she with him? One thing about the back room of Max is you never walked out of the back room with your back turned. You had to face the room and sort of back out.
Well, I would do that because I wouldn't want anybody to see my butt, but that's a whole different reason.
Because the minute your back was turned, people would start talking about you. But my fondest memory of Max's Kansas City was the night I was sitting there having dinner, and Patti Smith rushed in and vomited all over me.
We'll be back with more of Rhonda and Jayne right after this. The Ironman competition, also known as the Rhonda Shear Interview, now continues.
Can you read music? Not that that makes sense.
I can pick tunes out on the piano because I used to sing with the Methodist choir in church.
This is way back when in
well,
your
they
home?
threw me out.
But you came back and said, I will sing here no matter what.
Well, we had this big church thing one day, and we were singing. I got carried away in church, and I started twisting, and they didn't appreciate that.
Did you ever take
And
singing?
there I am looking
I
glamorous.
love that shot.
Looking very model.
Love that makeup.
And looking
Totally
very painted.
Painted's great.
Very painted.
Can you?
totally
Is
painted.
you can never have enough makeup.
No, never.
Never enough
No.
makeup, never enough hairspray.
No, that's what I can never understand.
The natural look. Do you have a little evil in you?
I think
I mean, you do have a little
I
evil in
think
you.
everyone has a little evil in them. Actually, I think everyone has a lot of evil in them, and it's you have to control it. You know, you can't really go around. You know.
But we live through you. That's why we
But
come
you-
to perceive
but you know that
perform.
song by Eartha Kitt, "I Want to Be Evil"?
No, but I like it.
I want to go to the theater and sit in the middle of the row, so that when I get up to go to the bathroom, I can step on people's feet.
The way you
It's
said
awful.
that, you mean it.
No, not really, not really. I'm really underneath this very passive homebody housewife. I love to iron clothes. I love to wash socks.
Do I not
like
believe
to make,
that?
pancakes and cornbread and black-eyed peas, and I like to sit back with a cup of tea and watch reruns of the Andy Griffith Show.
The Rhonda Shear interview returns in a moment. And now back to the Rhonda Shear interview. This week's guest, legendary rocker Jayne County.
Hi, Rhonda Shear here, USA. Up all night. Titillating moments. Jayne County and I have been having titillating moments all night long. I know that's your favorite word, so I thought I would say it a few times.
Sometimes you're in a really good mood and you feel a little frisky. You might run out in the streets in high heels and start screaming at people, you know, to get attention for yourself. And other days you just want a quiet day, you know, stay and watch television or whatever.
So who are your idols on television?
Well, my idols on television are Marlo Thomas and It's That Girl.
I love that girl.
Who did that? Something's been stolen. It was That Girl. You know. My purse, officer. My purse is missing. It was That Girl. She'll go.
Did you like Jeannie? Because that.
I dream of Jeannie. I like Jeannie, but you know, Jeannie got on my nerves. Sometimes
about-
I'd be watching Jeannie and I'd say, "Oh, you stupid thing! You deserve. Get back in that bottle and leave him alone. You're driving him nuts."
Yeah, I wanted to be Ginger
You
or
know.
Barbie. It was like maybe Barbie.
Barbie. I like
Perfect.
Barbie.
No nipples.
I had a Barbie doll, but I used to take a felt tip pen
Right.
and I draw on the genitalia. And sometimes the
Wait,
genitalia
wait.
didn't match the doll. And
You
it
would
was
try to
very-
tell you on Barbie. Poor Barbie. She really is sort of a screwed up doll. She was kinky. Did I tell you? Titillating moments. Now, let's return to USA. Up all night. It's hot in here.
Stay where you are. There's more girl talk with Jayne County coming your way on the Rhonda Shear interview. And now back to the Jayne County interview.
Hi, it's Rhonda Shear here, USA Up All Night with Jayne County. For someone who's been there, seen that, done everything, and written a book, Man Enough to Be a Woman, which you can get right now.
Buy it
Buy
now.
it this second because it's fascinating.
And the money is going into a fund to get me a new face.
Can I have just a little bit?
And the elbows, you can get those ones.
Elbows.
They just cut there and pull them together and sew them back again. And you walk around and you're like this, you know.
Jayne, do you find like you have body surprises? I have body surprises every morning. Things that I've never seen before.
Yeah, getting dressed and I say, what's happening
What
there?
was that?
What's going on? My God.
Okay. We'll be back with more of USA Up All Night after this. You don't want to miss anything.
Hi, I'm Jayne County, and I'm here to keep you up all night on Up All Night USA. You better watch it, girl. Don't you go on vacation.
Uh-oh.
I'm looking for a job.
Well, that was the end of that movie. Thank goodness. Wasn't it fabulous? But not as fabulous as the legendary Jayne County. You have to teach me some of those makeup tricks.
Anytime, I'm just full of makeup tips, darling.
And I would say,
I eat my makeup.
you know, it's low fat.
I say don't do drugs, do makeup.
Do makeup. And that brings us to our next film. Right now, let's begin with it. Right now on USA Up All Night. I'm just tongue-tied. I'm speechless around you, which is not an easy thing for me to be.
And now back to the Jayne County interview, already in progress.
Hi, Rhonda Shear here, and I'm hanging out with Jayne County, finding out if she's man enough to be a woman. Now, how has your music changed from, like, you have a new CD called Deviation,
Deviation, yes.
and then this one is the sort of the best of.
That's the best of, a compilation.
So how have you changed
Well,
through the
first
years?
of all, how the music hasn't changed is that the music still is very energetic, fast, tongue-in-cheek, good sense of humor,
That's good.
rock and roll. And I think there's always room for good rock and roll.
There's a classic that's F***CK off. Because I can't put that on the front.
Beep off.
Yeah,
And
I
the
love
song
that.
there's one song with, if you don't wanna beep me, baby, beep off. And that song will follow me to my grave.
Do you ever think that you'll run out of ideas, or does it? They just keep popping up?
I dream.
that-
I dream a lot of my ideas.
Do you?
I'm a big dreamer.
Like your songs? I mean,
Yeah.
do you wake up in the middle of the night
Well,
with
I go
songs?
to, before I go to bed, I take a couple of bottles of melatonin, and I dream in technical, and I get up and I write about 4 albums worth of material.
Everybody should work that way. And now back to more of USA Up All Night. Woo!
Take it away. I hate the day. Take it away. 'Cause I feel like I'm under a microscope.
We'll get back to Rage and Honor after this.
I feel like I'm under a microscope. Feel like I'm under a microscope.
We now return to USA Up All Night. More of Rage and Honor when we return. Rhonda Shear. We now get back to Rage and Honor on USA Up All Night. We'll get back to Rage and Honor after this. Rhonda Shear. We now get back to Rage and Honor on USA Up All Night.
What one of us can hear that song and feel untied to the wilderness that was our beginning? To Western man, that cry filling the woods from every side is at once mournful and menacing, yet strangely alluring. While it paralyzes our own movement, we sense behind it the vague form pursuing tirelessly, its ghostly silence broken only by the final snarling leap, the abrupt scream. Well, such is the stuff that myths are built on, and such is the potential in the wolf's fear-striking ability, that the folk language of dozens of countries is filled with such tales.
Hi, it's Rhonda Shear. We now get back to Rage and Honor on USA Up All Night. more of Rage and Honor when we return. Let's get back to more of USA Up All Night, if you can handle it. We'll get back to Rage and Honor after this. We'll get back to more of USA Up All Night after this. Woo. And now the conclusion of Rage and Honor.
Can't stop. Watch 'em rock.
Well, that's the end of this version of USA Up All Night. And what a night we've had with Jayne County. Have you all learned a lot? Are you running out to buy the book? Are you man enough to be a woman? I think they're running to Tower right now. The CDs, Deviation, the concert. Come on, we need more makeup. We need stuff. But we'll be back again next week when we'll do something completely different all over again. Until then, this is the way I always say goodbye. I sizzle kiss. This guy's.
Can I do that too?
Yes, they will love you to sizzle kiss. Good night. Oh, that was a good sizzle.